So how does a poor, plain, seemingly powerless orphan become one of the greatest rebels in all of literature? Well, that's the whole story behind Charlotte Bronte's masterpiece, Jane Eyre. We're going to dive into the life of a woman who just flat out refused to be silenced, caged, or controlled. This one quote, it's basically the heart of our whole story. It's that exact moment Jane's quiet grit turns into this powerful roar for freedom. But a will like that doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It was forged in the fire of oppression, starting way back when she was just a little girl. So let's start at the beginning, Gateshead Hall. Now, this was supposed to be Jane's home, but for her, it was basically a prison. It's here, living with the cruel Reed family, that Jane gets her first and most bitter lesson in what it feels like to be treated unfairly. This feeling of injustice, it just becomes the cry of her soul. I mean, think about it. Her cousins get praised for everything, while Jane is constantly put down, blamed for things she didn't do. Even when her cousin John hits her, she's the one who gets called a fury and locked away. This constant, grinding unfairness is what lights those first little sparks of rebellion. And her punishment? The Red Room. This isn't just any timeout corner. It's the dark, creepy room where her uncle died. Locked in there, terrified, something inside her starts to shift. Her fear starts to mix with this rage. It's right here, all alone, that she really starts to see her family for who they are and realizes she's got a strength they can't break. This room, it's the crucible where her defiance is born. And this is the moment everything changes. After the whole Red Room ordeal, Jane is done being a quiet victim. When her aunt, Mrs. Reed, tries to put her down one last time before shipping her off to school, Jane just lets her have it. All those years of anger finally come pouring out. For the very first time, she speaks her truth to the person who hurt her most. It's an absolutely shocking and kind of triumphant moment. Okay, so Jane's found her voice, but that newfound spirit is about to be put to the ultimate test. She's sent to Lowood School, a place designed to crush girls like her. But ironically, it's where she ends up forging the intellectual and moral weapons she's going to need for the rest of her life. And let me tell you, Lowood is brutal. I mean, just look at this list. We're talking freezing rooms, burnt food you can barely eat, being shamed in front of everyone, not to mention deadly diseases like typhus sweeping through the school. The whole system was built to break these girls down, physically and emotionally. And the man behind it all is this massive hypocrite, Mr. Brocklehurst. His whole mission, he says, is to teach these girls humility through suffering. Meanwhile, his own family is walking around dressed in fancy silks and furs. He even calls Jane a liar in front of the entire school. But in doing so, he just shows everyone the rot at the core of his whole philosophy. But here's the crazy part. In the middle of all this cruelty, Jane gets something she never had before, an education. And she finds friends, like Helen Burns and Miss Temple, who teach her how to mix her fiery passion with solid principles. So yeah, Lowood almost kills her, but it also gives her the exact tools she needs to build a mind of her own.
All right, so after 8 long years at Lowood, Jane is ready for a change. She takes a job as a governess at a place called Thornfield Hall, and it's here she meets the master of the house, the dark, intense Mr. Rochester. And for the first time, Jane's rebellious mind meets its passionate match.
With Rochester, everything is different. For the first time in her life, someone actually sees her. He looks right past her quiet, plain exterior and sees the fiery, independent spirit inside. He doesn't want some meek employee. He wants an equal, someone he can argue with, someone whose mind sparks against his. Their conversations are just electric. But there's something not quite right at Thornfield. There's this strange, menacing presence lurking somewhere in the house. Jane keeps hearing this creepy, chilling laugh down the halls. A mysterious fire almost kills Rochester in his sleep, and a guest gets violently attacked. There's this huge gothic mystery hanging over everything, threatening to destroy their happiness. So even with all these weird, ominous signs, Jane and Rochester fall completely in love. But their story is about to hit its biggest crisis yet, a moment that's going to force Jane to make an impossible choice, a choice between the love she's always wanted and the principles she has fought so hard to live by. So picture this. It's the wedding day. Jane, the poor orphan, is standing at the altar about to marry this man she absolutely adores. The priest gets to the part, "Does anyone here know of any reason why these two should not be married?" And a voice from the back of the church yells out that the wedding can't happen. And right there, in that one moment, the whole secret of Thornfield just comes crashing down. That creepy laugh, the fire, the attacks, it all suddenly makes sense. It was Bertha Mason, Rochester's secret, living wife, locked away in the attic. For Jane, standing there at the altar, this is more than a canceled wedding. It's the ultimate betrayal. Her whole world just shatters. So what happens next? Rochester begs her to stay, to forget about society's laws and just live with him. It's all fire and passion and emotion. But Jane's principles, the ones forged back at Lowood, they hold strong. She tells him that principles are for these exact moments, when there's temptation. To stay would mean becoming his mistress, and that would mean giving up the one thing she has left, her self-respect.
And so she makes her choice. In what is maybe the most rebellious act in the whole book, Jane leaves. She walks away from the man she loves, from the only real home she's ever had, with basically nothing in her pocket. She chooses her own integrity over a life of passion built on a lie. She chooses herself. So after nearly dying out on the moors, Jane gets rescued, and then, plot twist, she finds out she has families she never knew about and that she's inherited a fortune. For the first time ever, she is a truly independent woman. But then, a strange, almost supernatural call pulls her back toward Rochester, where she finds the entire game has changed.
When Jane goes back, she's not the dependent governess anymore. She is a wealthy woman who can make her own choices. And what she finds is shocking. Thornfield has burned to the ground. Bertha, his wife, started the fire and died in it. And Rochester? Well, he survived, but he was blinded and badly injured trying to save her. The entire power dynamic between them has been completely flipped on its head.
So when Rochester proposes this time, the words are totally different. He's not the powerful master of the house anymore. He's a broken man asking for his equal and his likeness. Now Jane can finally say yes, not as his employee or a dependent, but as a true partner who is there by her own free choice.
There's actually this perfect symbol for their relationship, a big horse chestnut tree where they first fell in love. A lightning bolt split it right down the middle the night of their failed wedding. But when Jane comes back, she sees that even though it's scarred and broken, its roots are still holding it together. It's a great way of showing that their love isn't some perfect fairy tale. It's a real bond that has survived total ruin. When you get right down to it, Jane's rebellion isn't just against mean relatives or terrible schools. It's a rebellion for the right to decide her own worth. She fights for a kind of love that isn't about power or money, but about a true connection between two equal spirits. And that really leaves us with a question, doesn't it? Nearly 200 years later, how revolutionary is that idea?